Welcome to another episode of Ask Dubey, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use the code NATION. Bet365 must be 19 or older. Oilers unfortunately blew another lead last night. Still a good hockey game against a good hockey team. And the good news is, if they keep putting themselves in position where they are leading games, they are eventually going to start closing them out on a consistent basis. It's a much better situation than them constantly having to crawl back and tie games, because that's definitely less sustainable than starting to hang on to games when you're winning. So still a better start from the Oilers than years past recently. And I think we know they're going to start to piece it together. And you never want to put yourself in a position that you have to go on a 10-game heater or a 15-game heater, which we know the Oilers are very capable of doing, and they haven't put themselves in that position. They just need to start hanging on to these leads and winning some games and getting on a little bit of a roll, and not so back and forth. And we know with the horses they have, we got to see a Leon Draisaitl goal from the goal line last night, which was awesome. McDavid scored, lots of good stuff, and just being able to hang on to those leads and grab those extra points too in overtime and shootouts, they matter. At the end of the year, it doesn't seem like that much. You get a point, it's great, but you look at the end of the year and 3 or 4 more extra points usually makes a big difference in the standings. So hopefully they can start closing games out in overtime in the shootout. And obviously with the players that Edmonton has, you would think it would be advantage Oilers come overtime. With that, we'll get right into the questions here. Don't forget, if you have questions, submit them on social media, any of the Oilers Nation social media with the hashtag AskDoobie, or just drop them in the comments section below. They can be anything. They can be about non-hockey stuff. They can be about hockey stuff. They can be about the game last night. They can be about really anything. We can talk about this season. We can talk about other seasons. Just fire any questions you can think of, and we'll make sure we get to them. And with that, we'll get into the first question. From Gina Antonucci, hopefully I said that right. What is your favorite Oilers jersey of all time? I'm not sure. I can tell you what wasn't my favorite Oilers jersey of all time. That's the one that I wore when I first started playing. They were the navy and copper, but very, very simple. No bar on the bottom, just copper arm bars and navy or white jerseys. I didn't love the jerseys in the NHL at the time, kind of as a whole. They all looked a little similar and kind of boring and plain. So I'm super happy over the last long stretch here. They've done a great job with the jerseys. Those were definitely not my favorite. I think it's hard to go away from the classics that they wear now and have for a long time. Those kind of retro-ish Oilers jerseys, they were our third jerseys toward the end, and I used to always love getting out of the navy and getting into the royal blue and orange. I just think the colors are incredible and they look amazing. I'm glad they've gone to them. If I had to pick one that unfortunately they don't wear anymore, though, the navy with the orange, I thought those looked unbelievably sharp. Just the all dark with the orange numbers and the letters. I know it was maybe a little tough to read the name bars and numbers, but man, when they came out with those, the all dark navy and orange, they certainly look sharp. So I'm gonna go with those. Obviously the classics are the best, but if I had to pick one other one, it'd be those for sure. Next question coming in from Dylan Goulet. Do you have a favorite memory from a road trip? Tough to single one out. There's lots of really good memories from road trips. That's one thing you certainly miss when you're done playing is you travel on the road. Obviously we travel really well, and just getting to spend that time with the guys, all these great restaurants that you get to go eat good food and just spend time with the team. That's certainly something that I miss since I haven't been playing. But if I had to pick one, I think it's kind of a unique scenario. We had a dad's trip with Minnesota, and I had hurt my knee. I was on the IR, but I was coming back, so I was going to start skating. And we had a dad's trip to Florida and Tampa. So obviously those dad's trips and mom's trips are very memorable and they're fun, but you're busy and you're skating and you're having your pregame nap and getting ready for the game and playing the game. So your focus is all on the game and you get a little bit of time with mom or dad. For this trip, because I was still in the IR, but I traveled with the team and with my dad, I got to practice and start to get back on the ice and get ready. I was very close to coming back, but I got to kind of spend the entire trip with my dad, and I wasn't able to go in the lineup, so I didn't have to be at the game early or ready. I couldn't be on the ice anyway, and so we kind of like could do whatever we wanted during the day. Go hang out on the beach or go check out some stuff. We were in Fort Lauderdale and Tampa, and so it was kind of a cool trip where we got to go there, and the team got a big win in Ottawa the night before as well, so everybody was in a good mood. But I got to spend some time on that trip, more time than I would have with my dad, that while still getting to kind of experience that dad's trip with going to the games and all that. So it was a really cool experience. Okay, this next one is from Lisa Evans. Does Doobie have a favorite Doobie Brothers song? Doobie Brothers is even a little bit before my time. However, I do know one Doobie Brothers song, Last Train Runnin'. My dad did make me listen to some classic rock growing up, so I do know some good classic rock. Doobie Brothers, the only song I know is Long Train Runnin'. It's a good one. If you haven't heard of it, which I'm going to guess most people haven't on here, go have a listen. It's a good classic, but unfortunately, that's all I got for the Doobie Brothers songs. Okay, this next one's from Dane. A little tougher question. How hard can it be to let your personal life affect your play and vice versa? I'm going to guess that means how hard can it be not to let your personal life affect your play and vice versa. It is difficult. Here's the thing. We're all, I know that fans look at us and we're these hockey heroes and all this stuff, but really, when it comes down to it, most of us are normal people that happen to be good at hockey and get to the top. And we have our own things in our own lives, whether it's family or friends or kids or whatever that is, that does affect us. And there's no way around it. And it's just finding ways to deal with it. I think sometimes if things are hard, or somebody's sick or your kids are sick or anything like that's hard at home, sometimes getting to the rink can just be a little bit of time where that's where you have to be, it's your job, you're with your other family, which is the team, and you can kind of just get away and focus on something else for a little bit of time. And so sometimes it can be a little bit of therapy, for lack of a better term. But at the same time, if things are more difficult or harder, or somebody's more sick or whatever it is, you just don't know. You never know. You never know what someone's dealing with or how they're dealing with it. And it's not always easy to just go shut it off. There are things in life that are more important than what's going on at the hockey rink, and obviously that's our job, and most of the time our priority is being at the rink and doing everything we can to be prepared and do our best. But at the end of the day, there are more important things in life, whether that's your family, your loved ones, your kids, all these kind of things. And when you have other things like that going on, it can be difficult, and sometimes it will affect your play on the ice. And even if you don't want to admit it, again, guys handle things differently. And so certainly it can have an effect, but I can't really speak for everybody on how it affects them. Like I said, sometimes it can be a good place to go to the rink, and sometimes maybe you don't want to be at the rink. Maybe you feel like you should be somewhere else. And as professionals and as guys getting paid a lot of money to do what we do, we have to do our best to park it and get to the rink and put our focus on hockey. But sometimes that's easier said than done. On to the next one here from G. Crispy. What was your favorite memory from the Stockton Thunder, and who was keeping you in check as a young gun? Stockton Thunder, that was great. That was my first year of professional hockey. And if you didn't know the story, Edmonton didn't have an American League team. I actually had a really good training camp, and there's never an expectation that I was going to be on the roster by any means, but I had a really good preseason, and Edmonton didn't have an American League team, so I had nowhere to go. And obviously being a tricky situation with the goalie, me being my first year playing professional, 20 years old, they didn't want to just loan me to an American League team and be a backup and not play to somebody else's goalie. So there was a pause after training camp, after the preseason, where I didn't know where I was going to go. I actually went from the day before rosters were announced for the NHL to back home in Calgary and didn't skate for like 3 weeks because there was nowhere to skate, and ECHL training camp didn't open up for another 3 weeks. So I just like hung out at home in Calgary waiting, and I went and did the full training camp in Stockton, which is an open training camp, so anybody can come. So you can take your wildest guesses on what that looked like with some of the guys at training camp, and they trimmed it up pretty quick. But the first couple days were interesting for sure. I had one kid, he went to California University, and so obviously you played hockey there, but they don't really have a hockey program. And he asked me after practice the first day if he could take some shots on me after practice, and I said sure, thinking that he wanted to focus on something and work on a skill or whatever. So I get in the net and he lines 10 pucks out in the slot. And so I was kind of like, okay. And he takes 10 shots on me, and I didn't know if he wanted feedback or whatever. He looks at me and says, okay, cool. Thanks. I just want to tell my friends I shot on you. And this is a guy that we're at the same training camp. So that was interesting for sure. But Stockton was amazing for my first year. There was a second year of their franchise, and so they were new to hockey. We actually had incredible fans there. It was a beautiful rink. You know, some places in the East Coast League can be a little dicey, a little dumpy, I mean, don't get me wrong, Stockton, California can be as dicey as anywhere, but the rink was nice. And we got great fans. We would get 7,000 or 8,000 people at these games, and they would cheer and cheer and cheer and have no idea what they were cheering for. I'm sure they're more educated now, but it was the second year there, so they thought that every save that I made was like the best save ever, especially when I caught it with my glove. So, I mean, I felt like a hero every time I stepped on the ice. I get a slap shot from the red line, catch it with my glove, and the place would go crazy. And we had a good team. We had a really good team that year, so it was a lot of fun. As far as keeping me in check, definitely a different lifestyle for a lot of the guys who were carving out some years in the East Coast League compared to a young kid who's trying to make it to the top. Unfortunately, because of that American League situation, we had kind of a cluster of guys who were in the same boat as me. It was myself, Tyler Spurgeon, Troy Bodie, Liam Reddix, and Brian Young. Who I don't know if Spurge did, but I know the other guys all got some shots to play with the big team. And so we all lived together, and that kind of, we kept each other in check. We kept, we all had the same focus on knowing where we wanted to go. We were all young. It was all our first year. So we kind of had this household that everybody kind of kept each other in check and on track and focused. Okay, next question is from CK Productions. What was your favorite arena to visit while playing on the road? Does it differ from your favorite city the team traveled to? Yes, it does. And I'm going to give a few here. There's too many good spots to just name one. As far as the arena, I'm going with the Bell Center in Montreal. I think a lot of guys answer that. There's just something different about playing a game in the Bell Center in Montreal. It's a different atmosphere. Just the buzz in there and the fans, and every game felt like Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Whether I was rolling in there with the Wild on a Tuesday afternoon, it just felt like that was what was going on in the city. And when you got in the rink, just the way the stands are built, they're very straight up and down. It feels like everybody's right on top of you, and it was just a different feeling. It was a different feeling to be in those games, and it helped that I had pretty good success there as well. So it helps the memories, but just a different, exciting feel playing in Montreal than anywhere else. And as far as cities to visit, I'm trying to think of a few. Dallas was always one of my favorite cities. Just great restaurants. It's a beautiful city. The weather was always pretty good, and we got to go there decently often, playing in the Central Division. But it's tough if you got to playing in Edmonton or Minnesota for that matter, and you got a little trip out to Florida in the middle of the winter, and you got to listen to the waves and catch some sun. That was incredible. And same thing goes for a trip to California. If you got a nice trip into, now in saying that, going to California was usually running a gauntlet with San Jose, LA, and Anaheim. We're all really good teams. So when it came to actually playing the games, you knew you were in one when you were going out there. But getting out there at the right time of year, again, just if you could just get to Newport Beach or and eat at a restaurant on the sand or anything like that. It's just such a breath of fresh air in the middle of a hockey season. So there's some really cool spots like that can really break up a season when you're in the dead of winter in Edmonton or Minnesota. Okay, that does it for another episode of Ask Doobie. Please don't forget your questions. To get your questions in, remember they can be about absolutely anything. We'll decide if we can answer them or not. But for the most part, I think I've been able to answer just about all of them. So hockey-related, non-hockey related, please keep them coming my way. Hashtag Ask Doobie on any of the Oilers Nation social media, or drop your question in the comment section below. We're going to get to it at some point. Please keep them coming. I love doing this show weekly. This episode brought to you by our friends at Wilhauk Beef Jerky. Only the finest tasting meat products earn the Wilhauk name. Made from 100% pure Alberta beef, Wilhauk Beef Jerky is aged, seasoned, marinated, and smoked to savory perfection. It is so good. Wilhauk Beef Jerky gladly fills orders of any size. Find their beef jerky, sausage, and other products exclusively out of their Leduc location, or you can order it online. Get your jerky on. For more info, go to wilhaukbeefjerky.com.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.